Hey guys, what's up? MurderofBirds here. This is my Hunter x Hunter episode 144 review. The episode was actually pretty awesome. I'm glad that we actually have moved past the whole Zolodek family and have, come back into the institution of working, focusing on the chairman election arc, because that's what the arc is called, but we haven't really gotten much of it, at least not as much as we do in this episode. So, I mean, before I get into that, also, there's only 4 episodes left of this series, and it's a real surreal feeling to me, and it's actually true. I mean, it's happening. 4 episodes left. But I enjoyed this episode a lot. I enjoyed the dynamic of everything that's happening. The final 4 candidates for the chairman position, and the dynamic was crazy. I freaking loved how this whole thing turned out. Right at the beginning with Jing and Cheadle. Pretty much Jing's analysis, like his analytical abilities, his analytical skill is really on point, of the fact that he already knows what Pariston, Pariston's whole mindset is the fact that Pariston's able to see through people very easily, because of the fact that everyone's trying to just win. Everyone's not really thinking of the overall scheme of things. They're just thinking, I want to win, I want to beat Pariston and all that. And I agree with that concept that winners are very predictable. If you know the overall goal that someone wants to achieve, you can easily manipulate their path on achieving that goal, which Pariston does very well, and it does it extremely well this episode. Everyone else is pretty much in the mindset of creating pool votes instead of selling themselves when it comes to their speeches and how they want to, influence the audience in their voting process. I was kind of confused on that. I'm like, why is everyone voting for someone else other than themselves? But at the end of the day, they don't care who gets picked as long as it's not Pariston, besides Leodio, because he doesn't really give a shit. And the entire dynamic there was kind of interesting, because you had Misa, which is the cow. I don't know his full name, so I'm just going to call him Misa. You had Misa voting for Cheadle. So you have Misa, majority of Misa's votes, and Cheadle already having her base votes, and then you have Cheadle voting for not Pariston, voting for Leodio. So you have Misa's votes who went to Cheadle in combination with Cheadle's votes going to Leodio, who already has his own votes. So that right there was already interesting, because I'm like, all right, so now Leodio's in the lead. And on top of that, Leodio gave a very heartwarming speech, which I feel gave him a lot of leverage to where people can actually see his potential and what he could offer to the Hunter Association, besides the whole fact that he hyped everyone up when he punched Jing. So that right there, I was already instilled in my mind. I'm like, all right, Leodio definitely has what it takes. He lacks a bit of experience when it comes to, the whole wisdom and aspect of, have you gone through certain things in your life that you could have insight on as a hunter, as a chairman on top of that, when you represent the entire Hunter Association. And that entire lead up to Leodio's position was just really impactful. But the dynamic that Pariston gave this episode was phenomenal. It was like out of this world. And I honestly have to apologize, because when I first was introduced to Pariston, I was like, this guy's a piece of shit. I don't like him. He's a rat. Morally, he's just a really bad person. He's kind of shady. I don't want anything to do with him. But at the same time, I have to respect him as a character, because he has kept this entire Hunter election very intriguing and very on edge, with a lot of things that people are planning, and how he just, he's very enigmatic. You don't really know that much about him. He has so many things in his mind, but he just plays off like it's a game to him. And that's what Jing also analyzes, that it's a game to Pariston, to where he doesn't want to win, but he doesn't want to lose. And when you have that type of leverage, when you're in that type of position, you're not bent on winning to the point where people can predict you, but at the same time, people can't sleep on you, because you're not trying to lose either. So Pariston, right off the bat, he's grown to be one of my very likable characters in terms of his dynamic and what he brings to the table with this whole organized plan of becoming chairman. So the flow completely changes, because Pariston, I thought he was going to go off and be like, all right, vote for me. I have a majority of the votes. It's all that. But then he throws the monkey wrench in voting for Misa, the cow. Now, this completely destroys the whole foundation that they were trying to work on when it came to not, having Pariston involved in the final voting, because now majority of Pariston's votes, or a vast or a huge chunk, is going to go to Misa. And now that Misa has a following of Pariston's voters, the voters that were going to put their votes onto Cheadle, because Misa was like, yeah, vote for Cheadle, I feel like they're going to stick with Misa now, because Misa has a vast majority of votes to where he could potentially become Hunter, even though that's not necessarily his agenda. It's not, and it's kind of like what Pariston said. It's not about him. It's not about their selfish acts and what they want. It's about what the people want, what the society, what the Hunter Association wants as a whole. So now this is very interesting because now Cheadle and Leorio are cut off because Cheadle's votes went to Leorio, and Leorio isn't getting any more isn't getting the votes that were initially from Misa, because now Misa's fan base or Misa's voting base is probably going to stick to them. I personally think that because Pariston did this, Pariston's going to have enough votes to where he can split his votes. He can have votes for himself and give some to Misa, so that way it kicks out Leorio and Cheadle from the final voting process. Overall, I definitely have to compliment Pariston so much, because now he's forcing his will upon these people, these participants, to where whatever they're going to do now, he probably already has in his mind what he's going to do, because they're doing it in the first place because of his actions. He's forcing his will upon them for them to make choices and steps that he already is foreseeing in the future. And that's something that I don't know if Jing's able to see in hindsight, like he was with the whole entirety of how he felt the process was going to go initially. But this is a game to Pariston, and it's a game he plays very, very well. And the entirety of this entire episode regarding the Hunter election was just I was very influenced on it. I was drawn in completely, mainly because Pariston and how he's doing things and the way he's doing things, that it seems so effortless, like he's not even trying. But I still, like, after this, I don't know who it's going to be. Like, right now in my mind, I want it to be Leorio, because his message and his speech was just so heartfelt, and I felt like that deserved a ton of leverage, besides the fact of the hype that he did with punching Jing. My initial pick was Cheadle, but, you know, I don't really necessarily know now, because she's already content with having, everyone is already content with having Leorio as a pick. Pariston has the potential to be a chairman, but because of the fact that I don't know his underlying, I don't know his overall scheme, I don't know his true, I don't really know his true intentions, that's something that's hindering me from choosing him. So I still don't know what's going to happen. Besides that, though, Gon looks like he's going to be healed pretty soon. They're approaching Gon, Aluka, and Kilua, and they have that whole establishment, they have that entire base held down for Gon. You saw a bunch of other faces. You saw Icalgo, you saw Maliaron, Palm, Knuckle. You saw a bunch of familiar faces that are just holding down the perimeter, making sure no one else comes through. So Gon might be healed pretty soon. The preview showed that it might actually happen, but I feel like something's going to go down regarding the rules and regulations of Aluka's powers, and maybe how is Kilua going to deal with the aftermath of the requests. And lastly, I just want to mention this real quick, but Chimera Ants are still relevant. I didn't know that. Like, I completely forgot that the cocoons that had those, you know, because the whole selection was supposed to be going down during the Chimera Ant arc, during the invasion, and that invasion lasted one night, and they never actually ended up doing the whole process. But they still had a bunch of people in those cocoons, so I feel like Chimera Ants are going to be relevant. Maybe in the next arc, the Dark Continent arc, I don't know anything that it pertains to, but just the fact that we know that Chimera Ants still exist, there's a plethora of them. I think that he said about 500 of them were in those cocoons, like those little cocoons that were in the trees, and they're in the custody of the Hunter Association, and if Pariston wins, he's going to have those Chimera Ants to pretty much play around with. So definitely looking forward to that, wondering how Chimera Ants are going to come in the future. Also, since Baby Kite is somewhat human hybrid of a Chimera Ant, as well as Icalgo, Maliaron is still around, Welfin, you know, and everybody else, you know, pertaining to the Chimera species. So I'm really looking forward to that as well, if Chimera Ants are going to be relevant in the next arc, as well as Baby Kite. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode, but I love the entirety of this episode. The election process, Pariston just made it so much more eventful, so much more vivid for me personally to watch and just see how everything's panning out. So let me know what you guys thought about the episode, what you liked about it, what you're looking forward to, all that stuff. How do you guys feel? 4 episodes left. I'm kind of bummed out right now, but it's going to hit me harder and harder as each episode comes out until that final episode, 148. And I kind of wanted to end with Jing meeting Gon at least, you know, at the very least, you know what I mean? Especially since the opening, it showed him giving Jing his hunter license. But that's all I've got for this review. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'd greatly appreciate that. But that's all I've got for this video, and I will catch you guys next week. Take care.